David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, the breaking news this Sunday night, the attack on Iran. The U.S. now confirming 3 American service members have been killed. Late today, President Trump speaking for the first time about the Americans killed and wounded during an Iranian attack on Kuwait. The president tonight vowing to avenge their deaths, warning, quote, sadly, there will likely be more before it ends. The new images coming in tonight showing new U.S. and Israeli attacks targeting Iran's Revolutionary Guard and defense systems. Iran retaliating, targeting U.S. bases, Israel, and multiple Arab nations. At least 9 people killed in a strike outside Jerusalem. Iranian officials confirming the death of the supreme leader as well, and more than 40 Iranian leaders have been killed. A source telling ABC News the CIA had been tracking the supreme leader for months and that the U.S. moved up the timing of the attack based on what they were seeing. Ian Pannell standing by live from the region. Also tonight, the shock waves across the Middle East at this hour. Iranian missiles and drones targeting at least 9 countries, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, countries with American bases. The airport tonight in Dubai on lockdown, targeted multiple times. Americans across the region stranded, unable to fly out. Multiple U.S. embassies on high alert. James Longman in Turkey for us. Tonight, inside Iran, the death of the supreme leader prompting large anti-American protests. A massive crowd of mourners in Tehran and across the country. Many shouting death to America, while others in Iran quietly celebrate, hoping for a new future. Here in the U.S., President Trump a short time ago and his message on this attack on Iran, saying it is, quote, the duty and burden of a free people. The president with his closest advisors this weekend on 2 occasions slipping out to mingle with guests at Mar-a-Lago. And tonight, what he's now saying about talks with Iran. And the bigger question, who leads Iran from here? In the U.S., just hours after news of the supreme leader being killed, a horrific and deadly shooting in Austin, Texas. Police saying the suspect wearing a sweatshirt saying property of Allah, a T-shirt reportedly referencing Iran. The FBI tonight investigating the motive. And tonight, after Iran's warning to oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, at least 3 vessels coming under attack. What this could mean for oil and gas prices in the days and weeks ahead. And President Trump tonight and what he's now saying about how long this military operation will last. A special edition of World News Tonight starts now.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening on this Sunday night. We begin tonight here with the breaking news in the attack on Iran. The U.S. confirming 3 American service members have been killed. Central Command reporting they died in an attack on Kuwait, at least 5 others wounded. Late today, President Trump boarding Air Force One. He made his first comments about the American deaths, calling them, quote, true American patriots, vowing to avenge their deaths and saying, quote, sadly, there will likely be more before it ends. The president today saying hundreds of targets have been hit by the U.S. and Israel, including defense systems, Revolutionary Guard facilities, and 9 Iranian Navy ships. Iran retaliating tonight for the ongoing U.S. and Israeli assault, striking back at Israel and multiple Arab nations. At least 9 people killed in an Iranian strike outside Jerusalem. Tonight here, ABC News learning more about the operation targeting the supreme leader and Iranian leadership. The CIA tracking the Ayatollah for months before the deadly strike was launched. Sources say when intelligence officials learned the supreme leader was above ground in his office and meeting with Iran's top leaders, they struck. Across Iran tonight, massive crowds mourning the death of the Ayatollah, a new supreme leader expected to be named within days. Tonight, President Trump now signaling the U.S. military operation could last for 4 weeks. We have team coverage tonight. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell leading us off from the region again tonight.
Tonight, the first American casualties of the massive U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, as Iran retaliates for the assassination of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. The U.S. confirming 3 American service members were killed in action, 5 more seriously wounded. U.S. officials telling ABC News they were killed in an Iranian attack in Kuwait. Late today, President Trump releasing a new video from Mar-a-Lago responding to those deaths, warning there'll likely be more.
As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more.
The president vowing to avenge their deaths, and in a separate interview today revealing Operation Epic Fury could last 4 weeks. The US alone striking more than 1,000 targets. B-2 stealth bombers armed with 2,000-pound bombs striking Iran's ballistic missile facilities. The president saying multiple Iranian Navy ships were destroyed, sinking in the water, claiming Iran's top military leaders want to surrender.
The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved.
Israel saying the joint operation has knocked out nearly all of Iran's defences, leading to near total air supremacy over Iran, making it safer for fighter pilots to attack targets in the country. But Iran still striking back, launching a fierce assault on US bases and at least 9 countries across the region. The airports in Dubai and Kuwait hit. New video emerging showing smoke filling the terminals. Here in the hills of Jerusalem, an Iranian missile evading air defense systems, slamming into the town of Beit Shemesh. At least 9 people killed. Victims carried out on stretchers.
Oh my goodness.
Used to be a synagogue, used to be a house. Now it's just rubble.
We see the destruction as crews work against the clock, looking for survivors. Prayer books scattered in the rubble. The residents here didn't stand a chance. They were running to a shelter when the missile hit.
And of course you've got the added problem here of there could be a siren any moment, and then what happens? Everyone has to take cover?
You can see there's not really any cover to take here. So that's one of the realities that we deal with as first responders.
And tonight, stunning new details of what led up to the massive operation to topple the Iranian regime. As new video emerges at the moment Ayatollah Khamenei's compound was hit. A source telling ABC News the CIA had been tracking the supreme leader for months, down to his daily routine. An Israeli source briefed on the joint strike telling us Israeli intelligence discovered that Khamenei spent quite a lot of time above ground in his offices and not in his bunker. When the US learned the supreme leader would be meeting with top Iranian officials in Tehran on Saturday, the source says the timing of the attack was moved up. The US and Israel saying the 86-year-old Khamenei was killed in the very first round of attacks.
All in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries.
The operation also targeting Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian, but he survived. Overnight, saying Iran is taking action with power to destroy the enemy's bases and will continue to take action and will leave the enemies hopeless. And tonight, Iran saying the death toll is rising, more than 1,000 people killed, crews searching through the night. State media claiming an airstrike on a girls' school in Iran has left more than 150 people dead, including students. The US and Israel still working to verify those claims.
So let's bring in our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, with us live again tonight from Tel Aviv. And Ian, President Trump, of course, a short time ago addressing the first American lives lost here.
Yeah, that's right, David. And he had warned that this was likely to happen. 3 US service personnel now dead. And a warning, there could be further loss of life in an operation that may now last weeks, revealing it began early because of this key intelligence that Khamenei and key leaders were going to be meeting Saturday morning, the president giving the order to strike. David.
Ian Pano leading us off here again tonight. Ian, thank you. Tonight, the shockwaves across the Middle East, Iranian missiles and drones targeting at least 9 countries. Tonight, the airport in Dubai on lockdown, targeted multiple times. Americans across the region stranded, unable to fly. Multiple U.S. embassies on high alert tonight. Here's our chief international correspondent, James Longman, from Turkey.
Tonight, an entire region now being sucked into a spiraling conflict. Iranian missiles and drones have now rained down on 9 countries across the Middle East. Among them, Tehran lashing out at Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Qatar, Bahrain, all US allies hosting American bases. Civilians fleeing for safety now caught in the middle. The luxury Fairmont Hotel in Dubai struck, a major commercial and transit hub. The world's biggest airport, Dubai, on lockdown after being targeted multiple times.
We had a very long night, a lot of explosions, a lot of warnings, a lot of jet sounds.
Many Americans in the region stranded. Christy Elmer and her partner Matt were in Dubai for work. Now they're not sure when they can return to their New Hampshire home.
Hoping that the defense systems, the layered defense systems, keep working.
US embassies a target too. Growing clashes at a consulate in Karachi to the Green Zone in Baghdad. Tens of thousands of embassy staff and military personnel on high alert. The State Department also urging Americans worldwide to remain vigilant. Iran's Islamic regime isolated perhaps like never before. Since October 7th, its proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah and the Syrian regime under Assad, all dismantled.
And David, with so much danger in the air, it doesn't look like regional airports are going to get back to normal anytime soon. So anyone stranded in this region trying to get home, looks like they might have a long and dangerous wait ahead of them. David?
You can see that vast area over Iran, commercial flights staying away from the region, and that is understandable tonight. James Longman, thank you. Tonight, the images from inside Iran, the widespread protests after news the supreme leader was killed, along with more than 40 of Iran's leaders. Protesters across Tehran now shouting death to America, while others in Iran are quietly celebrating, hoping for a new future now. Here's Martha Raddatz.
Tonight, the Iranian regime shaken to its core. More than 40 of its leaders dead in strikes carried out with astonishing speed and exquisite intelligence. Within minutes of the opening strikes, not only was Iran's supreme leader killed, but the head of Iran's armed forces, the defense minister, and 7 senior military leaders, along with dozens more commanders. The strikes have prompted celebrations in the streets and in the privacy of Iranian homes. But today, tens of thousands of tearful mourners gathered in Tehran's main square, pounding their chests, waving flags, and throughout the country, many shouting death to America. This man called the attacks on the regime shocking news that really fills one with anger, full of hatred towards Israel and America. We must avenge the blood of the leader. The Iranian foreign minister today insisting to ABC News that the deaths of military leaders will make little difference to Iran's military capabilities.
Well, we have lost some commanders, that is a fact. But another fact is that nothing has changed in our military capability. This is exactly what happened last time. They killed some of our top commanders at the beginning of the strikes, but they were replaced very soon, and in less than 12 hours, we were able to start retaliation.
Iran's retaliation was swift and broad throughout the region, but the loss of that many leaders would leave any military deeply rattled.
No matter what the foreign minister says, taking out 40 of the top leadership means that most of the units in the field are operating independently and without centralized direction.
And David, we're not sure whether Israel and the U.S. meant to spare Iran's president in the strikes, but tonight he is with an interim leadership council. According to Iran's constitution, the council will remain in place until a new supreme leader is chosen by the so-called Assembly of Experts, and that could be soon. David?
All right, Martha Raddatz live in Washington for us. Martha, thank you. President Trump just a short time ago with a new message on this U.S. attack on Iran, saying it is, quote, the duty and burden of a free people. And tonight with the president is now saying about new talks with Iran. And of course, the bigger question, who leads Iran from here? Mary Bruce at the White House tonight.
President Trump tonight with a wave heading back to Washington after launching a new war with Iran. He has yet to make a full-throated case for war to explain why Iran presented an imminent threat to the United States. Today, he called America's mission, quote, the duty and burden of a free people.
We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people.
Trump spent the weekend huddling behind closed doors with his closest advisors, working the phones with world leaders, and on 2 occasions slipping out to mingle with guests at Mar-a-Lago fundraisers. This video obtained by the Daily Mail.
I gotta go to work.
Even as American missiles rain down on Iran, and Iran vows to fight on, the president tonight saying Iran wants to get back to the bargaining table. They want to talk, and I have agreed to talk, so I will be talking to them. Trump told The Atlantic they should have done it sooner. They should have given what was very practical and easy to do sooner. They waited too long. David, the president didn't say who he would be talking with, but the president's words seem to acknowledge that some of the people who have been leading Iran may continue to lead Iran, despite Trump's calls for regime change. David.
All right, Mary Bruce at the White House again tonight for us. Mary, thank you. Tonight, just hours after news the Supreme Leader was killed, we learned of a horrific and deadly shooting here in the U.S., in Austin, Texas. Tonight, what sources say the suspect was wearing, and the FBI now investigating whether this was in response to what's happened in Iran. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, just hours after the U.S. attack on Iran and the killing of its supreme leader, the horrific and deadly scene outside of a bar in Austin, Texas. A gunman opening fire on more than a dozen people.
Oh, my God.
Law enforcement sources say this image obtained by Fox News is the suspect, dressed in a hooded sweatshirt bearing the words, "Property of Allah." Sources identifying the alleged gunman as Njaga Janya, a 53-year-old naturalized citizen from Senegal. Sources telling ABC News initial reports to police said he was wearing a T-shirt making a reference to Iran.
There were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism.
The nightmare unfolding in mere minutes. A man in an SUV using a pistol to randomly fire at people outside the club just before 2 a.m. Sunday. In seconds, the suspect seen here out on the street, now with a rifle firing away. 3 victims transported to local hospitals in critical condition, 2 dying at the scene. The gunman shot dead by police, ending the melee.
We have families that are at hospital rooms waiting for outcomes from surgery. That's the reality of what we're dealing with today.
David, while we don't yet know if Iran was the primary motive for the attack in Austin, authorities are investigating whether it may have played some role. David?
Pierre Thomas live in Washington. Pierre, thank you. Now to Capitol Hill tonight, and with this attack on Iran, Democrats and some Republicans are now calling for a vote on war powers. Let's get right to Rachel Scott. She's live on the Hill tonight. Rachel?
Well, David, Democrats and a handful of Republicans are demanding a vote in Congress this week on a war powers resolution that would require President Trump to get congressional approval before ordering any additional military action in Iran. Republican leadership is urging their members to vote against it. Democrats say this is a war of choice, not necessity. But it is Republicans that have the majority here in Congress, and it is President Trump that has veto power, which means this is likely not going anywhere, David.
You're going to be watching this all week for us. Rachel Scott live on the Hill. Rachel, thank you. Tonight, Iran's warning to oil tankers, threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz. At least 3 ships coming under attack. 2 were hit. It's not clear if they were intentionally targeted. About 20% of the world's oil and gas passed through the strait. The strikes on Iran expected to cause a surge in oil prices when the markets open. They're spiking about 11% higher in U.S. trading. Dow futures are down about 500 points tonight. We should note here that later tonight, right here on ABC, our ABC News special, Shockwaves, the attack on Iran. We take you inside the attack and what happens from here. That's 9 p.m. Eastern. Later tonight, the whole team right here. Meantime, the news continues here. And when we come back tonight, the new Arctic plunge on the way. Millions on alert for more snow and frigid temperatures. Wind chills below zero and single digits in the Northeast. And the harrowing ordeal tonight. 2 people left dangling in their hot air balloon 900 feet in the air. We'll be right back. Tonight, millions bracing for a new Arctic plunge tomorrow. Bone-chilling cold stretching from Minnesota to New York right up to Maine. Wind chills could hit -20 into the single digits and teens. And behind the cold, more snow. 3 to 6 inches possible from upstate New York right into New England on Tuesday. But then they tell me spring-like weather to end the week. They also tell me spring is eventually coming. We'll see. When we come back here tonight, that harrowing scene, 2 people trapped dangling 900 feet in the air, and you'll see it right here. To the index tonight, a frightening scene in Longview, Texas. 2 people left dangling for hours, more than 900 feet in the air. Their hot air balloon crashing into a communications tower, the torn balloon flapping in the high winds. Rescuers did get them down safely, no injuries. When we come back tonight, the first American lives lost, and what's coming up tonight, right here on ABC in a moment. Late today, President Trump paying tribute to 3 American service members killed in Kuwait, calling them, quote, true American patriots. He warns there will likely be more deaths as Iran retaliates. The president now saying the U.S. military operation could last 4 weeks. I'll be back a short time from now for an ABC News special tonight, Shockwaves, the attack on Iran. We take you inside the attack, the intelligence, and where does this go from here? 9 p.m. Eastern right here. I'll see you then. Until then.